Welcome back, our faithful viewers, and welcome to you, our newcomer.
This is the Youth Enviro Show, and we are always very excited to have you here. Today we brought you the best topic, which is water resource management. Yes, you heard right, water resource management. So this is our girl Sharissa, and this is me, Esther. Don't go away and stay tuned.
Hi guys, we are from HPS.
Let's keep our environment clean.
We are absolutely privileged to be present at this wonderful occasion where we will get the opportunity to plant some trees. I would also like to extend a warm and kind welcome to Waka Pinya Environmental Education, who have launched this cleanup campaign at our school, and also that they are actually going to take part in cleaning our school environment. So thank you very much for that initiative that came from your side. We really appreciate it.
So the question is, why is it important to plant trees? One last time.
For oxygen.
Oxygen, energy. Carbon dioxide.
Of this nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature? The beauty of this nature and nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature? The beauty of this nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature?
Everything we do has its consequences. We are bound to choices. Yeah, yeah. Our world, it needs our care. It's in our hands to do our share.
The beauty of this nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature? The beauty of this nature and nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature? The beauty of this nature can never be undone. Can we go green? Can we go clean to save this nature?
Listen, we all love to live, then we cut down trees. If only you could see what my eyes see. It's ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I'm in love with your beauty from dusk to dawn. I witness your power as life takes form. The scent of flowers, you that cologne. And when I need to cool down, you put me on. And the air that I breathe is a gift from you. And
I would like to appreciate the Pioneers Boys Management. Labon, thank you very much. Our champion, Ms. Simpson, and your group, of course, the teachers, and the boys.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back. Water is one of the most basic human needs and is indispensable to almost all economic activities such as agriculture, energy production, and mining. And you know, with impacts on health, gender equality, education, and livelihoods, imagine how crucial it is to be very sustainable in managing our water. Yet, sadly, water is under immense pressure from economic sectors demanding more of it, which is leaving insufficient for us.
Because if you look at it, studies have shown that 40% of the world population is affected by water scarcity.
Imagine, and population growth is continuous.
Yes.
So now, let's talk about the most important natural resource that we have on this earth. Water resource management.
The most interesting topic I have ever spoken about. Water resource management is a process whereby water is being managed according to its quality as well as quantity. So meaning that this water is being, checked. People have to check, okay, how is the quality of the water? How is the quantity of the water? Because like I said, many percent of the world population is actually affected by water scarcity.
And imagine the water that is available sometimes is dirty, polluted water filled with toxins.
And this is the reason why countries and many countries, they have a water resource management system that actually helps the countries to come together and find a way how to manage water.
Well, before we get there, let's look at what we as individuals can do and why it is important for us to save water. As we mentioned before, water is very valuable. Imagine you needed to drink, wash your clothes, to water your plants, which provides, products for us to eat.
Yeah, just wait for a second. Think about it. Just think if there is no water, maybe just for 5 days or so. Can you see how you already starting to getting agitated? And also here in Windhoek, for example, here in Namibia, whenever a city of Windhoek or municipality tell us, okay, there's water shortages, we cannot anymore water plants or wash cars, with spraying, how they wash cars. So that year, for example, 2019, it was very hard for us. It was very, very agitating for us. And imagine if me and you as an individual are not taking care of our water, are not saving water, we are not participating in this water resource management
protecting what we have. And so what can we do, what can you and I do in order to protect more of what we have?
So we have learned that even in primary school that we should bath with basins instead of just, there are young people that will fill up the bathing tub until the maximum, until the capacity.
Do you want to swim?
Yes, and it's especially now that it's hot and it's summer, or they'll go in the shower, and I realized that a lot of people have now put, the
nice
music in the shower, so they play music hours after hours and the water is just running. So we shouldn't do this. We should just use a basin, bath quickly and effectively, and get out.
One other thing is, we are all guilty of this, is when we are brushing our teeth, we leave the tap running. Sometimes we close it, but then we open it again. That is actually wasteful. Instead of using a cup to collect water, in which later on you use that water, rinse your mouth and rinse your toothbrush. That is sufficient living.
Yeah, and just to add on that as well, like in the house, we have basins. For example, when washing dishes, there are people who do not even use, basins to wash dishes. What they do is they just let the water run, and then they wash, and then they rinse at the same time. So a lot of water. And I think you're also guilty of that.
To be honest, when I was younger, I was really guilty of that. Because you'd see it's just like maybe 2 cups and 2 spoons, and then you're just there quick most.
Yeah, then you just, the water is just running. Instead of just using 2 basins there, like one first. All there are houses with already 2 basins in it. So one for washing, then the other one you put water for
rinsing.
We understand, guys, that it's Corona time, but remember, we have to save our water.
Yes. Lastly, before we move on to what the world is doing on being sustainable with their water, is closing our taps properly. I know sometimes, you close it and then we leave, but then it's actually dripping. So make sure that you have tightened the noose properly, but don't also over tighten it that later it will be difficult to open it.
And if you are probably in the village, maybe you are like, yeah, but us here, we are in the village, you guys are only concentrating in the city. No. If you are in the village, there is always somebody who is in charge of water leakages, of water management in that specific village. If there is a pipe that got burst here in Windhoek, for example, you call City of Windhoek, and at your village, call that person that is specifically responsible for that.
So as mentioned, we'll talk about what the world is doing. First, let's talk about Israel. Now, some parts of Israel is actually close to Namibia's climate, an arid, dry climate. And so, being a leading country in actually water conservation, Israel.
Really?
Yeah, I was so surprised.
Israel.
Wow,
that's nice.
They've actually developed a program that helps them water over 50% of their agriculture by just using waste water in a dripping system, dispensing it throughout all of their agricultural plantations, and they are making themselves less dependent on rainfall, which we all know, it's there, then it isn't there, climate change, or dependent on fresh water, because Israel, if you know, the Dead Sea is also in Israel, so they mostly have salt water and and the Mediterranean Sea, but they have found this system of using wastewater.
Before we started recording, you were telling me that Israel is using the 3 R's.
Oh yes, how could I forget that? The 3 R's of reduce, reuse, and recycle. And you know where they come in, obviously, with the wastewater.
As we have done previously. You can always go back to our previous episode and check what we've spoken about, especially when it comes to the 3 R's. Now, let's move forward to Namibia.
Oh, before we go there, we have another one. Before we bring it home, let's talk about South Korea. Did you know that in 2004, the South Korean government actually started building a city on artificial island? It's called Songdo. And this town or this city is just known for sustainability. Complete sustainability. Songdo.
Oh, Songdo.
Yeah. So what they have, it's called a green space where they have vegetation on the rooftops, as well as they use a dispensing method of wastewater that they disperse throughout parks, throughout the household appliances, which is like our washing machines, so they're generating this water again to be able to be used throughout the entire town.
Yeah, so bringing it back here, as I have mentioned earlier, Namibia has a ministry, and we should be familiar with it. It's called Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Reform. So they have directives whereby they have 4 sections that deals with water resource management. Hydrology, for example, these people or these officials, they are more concerned and they do monitor water aquifers, like ground aquifers. And just the groundwaters and then aquifers down. So they also do research about underground water. And then we have now water environment, and this deals more with pollution. They are more like the quality of the water. Like they have to check, okay, is this water still drinkable? Can the organisms in the river, for example, in Kavango River, for example, survive? Can they still survive? So these people really deal with pollution, and they make sure that the water quality is good and the rivers are not eutrophicated. Actually, water bodies.
Eutrophicated?
Yeah.
What is eutrophicated or eutrophication?
Oh, eutrophication is a process whereby water bodies are actually covered with a green alga blooms on top.
So is that sometimes what we call algae?
Not really, because algae is different. So this eutrophication finishes oxygen. This process finishes oxygen in the water bodies, making sure that most of organisms in the water bodies are not surviving. They end up dying because oxygen is
Depleted.
Yes.
Well, that's enough of us talking. Let us head over to some experts to hear what they have to say. Hi guys, long time no see. Well, today we are here at the Gamam's Water Care Treatment Plant and I'm joined by
Miss Dambe.
Miss Dambe. Miss Dambe will be our tour guide today as she did study water treatment. So would you please tell us what exactly is water treatment?
Okay, water treatment is actually the process of treating water from the raw or the wastewater to the product water. Yes.
So then that it becomes now our wastewater becomes our clean drinking water at the end of the day.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so let's go on our tour.
All right.
Oh, but as you were telling us about, what happens to the waste.
Yeah. What they do, they take the scum, that's the sludge, the black thing that you see there. They take it from the other side. There's a place that they take it, and then they add chemicals. The chemical that they add there is polymer. Okay. It's a chemical, and then from there they dewater. Dewatering is the separation of water and the waste product. So what they do, then they take it to the drying beds, and then they take it for the further treatment in the other building that side.
Oh.
Yeah, and then they have two different type of fertilizers. They have granular and the powder one. We have those dome cones there, the structure there. They turn the sludge into biogas.
Oh.
And then that biogas is then run for a generator that help us run this part of the plant.
Wow. So
Yeah.
everything here is being used.
Recycle.
Recycle.
Yes.
Wow. What exactly is that?
That's a PST. It's a primary settling tank. It's the largest. It's a very newly constructed. As you can see, it's automatic. The rotor is just rotating itself. But we have 8 of them. This number 8. The smaller ones are there.
Oh.
Yeah. We can go
So
at the
what
inlet.
kind of water is this?
It's still our wastewater.
Still wastewater.
Yes. It's the primary treatment side. And then we have our secondary on the other side. This is a manual one. So the guys from the digesters, that part is called the digesters. Like, digestion, like our stomach. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's carbon dioxide and methane and everything.
Oh.
Yeah, they combine and then they produce now the gas. So this is our starting point. So this is called the inlet. And this area is called the screening.
Okay, screening.
Yeah.
So these two screens.
Yeah, these two screens. This is the old channel. This was the old one. Yeah. So what happens is that the water comes in through the pipes. The 2 pipes that are
In the front.
yeah in the cemetery. There are bigger pipes there. So that's what transports our water here from our households. Then they come here, the screening, and then as you can see, the larger the rags, they are being separated from the water now. So it goes on the conveyor belt, and then it's compressed there. There's a compressor that we are gonna see. Yeah. So the water goes in the channel, the clear water without the materials, even though not all of it is removed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So some are too small for
Yeah,
that.
some are too small for the screening.
Someone right now, everyone is either flushing or how can I say, opening the bathtub, using the shower.
Yeah.
That's why the water is constantly coming.
Because what we do, we specialize in domestic wastewater. That's our toilet water, our laundry water, and our kitchen water. We don't do industrial water. Yes. Yeah. So many people will be here and they'll be like, oh, this is the water we drink. And I'm like, yes. They'll be like, oh no, I'm not gonna drink tap water, but it's very healthy.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what exactly makes tap water very healthy?
The fact that there are a lot of the nutrients that we need, you see. And if you are a person who drinks, like, let me say, distilled, yes, distilled is, but purifies, that's like a reverse osmosis, you see. Like, they recook it, re-purify it, burning the nutrients that are in the water that are needed for our body. So which makes tap water very healthy as long as you boil it. Yes. This is the process called dewatering, the separation of water and the waste products. And then from there, it goes to the conveyor belt, and then the product goes outside. The water goes to the others, to the downside underneath there. So from there, with the belt outside, and then they take it to the drying bed. I don't know how many days it stays there for it to dry. Then they take it to their factory, and then they add more chemicals, and then they turn it into fertilizers, and then we have our fertilizers.
Well, sadly, we have come to the end of this very interesting and informative tour. But before we leave you, we have one more question. Why do you think it is important, to be resourceful with our water and to save water?
Yeah, sometimes as we can see that we have drought nowadays in the country these years. For the past years, we have been having drought. And it's very important that we have to save our water. But on the other side also, it's very important that we are proud, because if we don't get water from the households, and then we have no water to treat, you see. Yeah, so at one point we need the water, but just not in a wasteful way, but in a useful way, that you use the water usefully at your houses, and then we get the water, and then we treat the water, and we make sure that our water that we treat, it doesn't go back to our houses and make our people sick. Yeah, it have to be on a very quality and on a very effective measures that it will not make anyone sick. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, honestly, it makes me very proud to know that my country cares about me, cares about you, cares about our future, and that they do everything that they can to ensure that we have safe drinking water, and also that they put in, water management projects into place so that they ensure that throughout our drought periods that we still have something to survive off of. Well, today, that's it. So we'll catch you next time.
Welcome back. I hope you have learned one or two things from that, because I did.
Definitely.
Yeah, so just to recap on what we have spoken about, that me and you as an individual, we need to save our water. We need to take part in water resource management. This means that you as an individual, you need to close off those taps.
Yeah. And another thing, I think I forgot to mention this, was a fun trick that I recently discovered. Many of you might have seen it on social media as well, where you put water into the bottle, you tie it, you close the cap, poke a hole into the cap, and you can stick a stick in there and place it within the soil of your plants, and it will continuously feed your plants water or water your plants for a whole week.
A whole week?
A whole week. Wow. You don't even have to do anything. So you don't have to get up.
Especially for those who are traveling, it's almost December time. Maybe you can do that.
Yeah, plant it away everywhere.
Yes.
Okay, so now what we have prepared for you is fun facts. But before we give you the fun facts, we actually have a question.
Yeah.
And today's question is, what are some of the water saving tips that you practice at home?
Yeah, probably saving tips that we haven't spoken about. Maybe you have better ways. So please tell us, comment right down below. Yes, share, because I want to do that.
Yeah, you
Because
want to practice it.
recently I went to fix my washing machine because it was wasting a lot of water. And maybe if you have some other things that we can use, that would be good.
Yeah. So moving to our fun facts. Did you know that water actually goes by 3 names?
Wow.
You chemistry people, ne? What are you guys doing? Coming up with all of these new stuff?
Imagine. So grey water entails all the water that are being used. For example, water coming from the sink, from the shower, from the toilet. This is what we call grey water.
And green water is precipitation. You know, when we get light drizzle, or you know, in that water cycle. Do you remember the water cycle?
From life science grade 8 and grade 9.
Well, that settles on the ground, but it seeps into the soil, but it's only there for temporarily, unfortunately. And then we have blue water. Can you guess blue water? We normally think water is blue, ne?
Yeah.
But apparently it's not. So, blue water is actually our fresh water that we get from the lakes, the rivers, and the aquifers. Oh my goodness, and the oases, waterfalls. Wow, I'm actually getting thirsty just thinking of water.
Look at that. Yeah, so enough of the water. So we came to the end of our today's episode. So we still want to appreciate and hug you for staying with us. So as from me, Esther.
And me, Sharissa.
Toodles.
Bye.